Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Caroline. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Good. Welcome, everyone. We're going to start in a couple of minutes. We'll just give our boys a little more time to get on. Some are going on to YouTube now, but I'm going to give us another couple of minutes to fill up, and then we'll start. Okay, good evening again, everyone. Special welcome to Caroline Mafood, who is joining us from GraceKennedy Foundation, and she's going to talk with us today about preparation for tertiary education. Caroline is no stranger to Jamaica College. She's been with us on a number of occasions, speaking about the same thing. She's actually been with us talking about environmental issues as well, but almost repeatedly for the last 4 or so years, she's come and spoken with our upper school boys about preparation for tertiary education opportunities and the whole processing of of getting into university and the choices you make. She's with us this evening. I thank you, Caroline, for again gracing us with her presence. I know your history at JC goes as far back. I remember. I mean, I was in the same class as Tommy, your brother, at JC. So, welcome again. I know. Welcome to our staff, our VPs who are here. A board member is here. Teddy Alexander is here, and all our parents and college men who are listening, both here online and on the YouTube channel. This should be one of a number of talks we'll have that will give you an idea how to focus and think about what will happen over the next couple of years in your life, and give you ample information on how to prepare. So all over to you, Caroline. Please take it on.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Thank you so much, Wayne. And I am very excited to be able to join you tonight. And thank you for having me, and for Teddy Alexander arranging this, and for your team, Dawn, and everyone for making this happen. As Wayne mentioned, JC is near and dear to my heart because my two older brothers attended JC, and I used to come to all the barbecues and basketball matches and everything. So it is very special to me. And just to add, I am a parent of 3 children. So I have one that has finished university, one that's in university, and one that's in 3rd form. So I can relate to a lot of what I'm going to be sharing today with you. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get right into the presentation. Okay. Okay, great. So I'm going to give you a little background information on what the GraceKennedy Foundation offers first, and then I'll go into some other just general tips that will help you as you think through how to get scholarships and how to prepare for university. I'm actually being interrupted by a chat right now. Thank you very much, Jonathan. Okay. All right. So first of all, the GraceKennedy Foundation offers over 90 scholarships every year. 8 of them are what we call our endowed or named scholarships. And in addition to that, we offer a number of merit scholarships, and we also offer final year scholarships. And I'm going to explain that in a little more detail. So our endowed or named scholarships. We have the GraceKennedy Jamaica Scholarship, which is valued at $550,000, and that's for a student that's just completed CAPE 2 and is about to go to university. We have our UTEC Scholarship, which is valued at $450,000. And that you can be in any year at UTEC. It doesn't have to be that you're just entering. We have the Douglas Orain Scholarship for Science, Technology, or Engineering, and that's for UE or UTEC. That's valued at $400,000. The Rafael Diaz Scholarship for Business, that's for UE only, and that's valued at $400,000. We have the Carlton Alexander Scholarship, and notice I have highlighted it because it is specifically for JC pass students. And it's whether you're going to UE or to UTEC, and it's valued at $500,000. And then if any of you are interested in the arts and music, dance, art, whatever, there's the Edna Manley College Scholarship, and that's valued at $400,000. And then we have what we call the JIEE Final Year Scholarship, and that's if you're studying STEM at UE or UTEC, and that's $500,000. And then we have our final year scholarships for students attending UE or UTEC, and that ranges from $50,000 up to $400,000. Now, our merit scholarships, who qualifies for that? You have to apply for a scholarship with the foundation to be considered. And merit scholarships are offered to persons who have been shortlisted for an interview. Maybe they weren't successful. They have a good chance of getting a merit scholarship. If there are strong applicants who unfortunately could not be shortlisted because it is a very, very competitive process, but we think they deserve it, they can qualify for a merit scholarship, and of course, final year students. And just to make it clear, our scholarships, I notice I've used the word merit multiple times. Our scholarships are not need-based. Just because you have a serious financial need doesn't qualify you for one of our scholarships. It's based on your performance, your academic performance, and I'll explain that in a little while. Our scholarship process is online, And all the details that you need about our scholarships is available there, all the criteria, because each scholarship that I've mentioned there has specific criteria that you need to follow. Our applications open May 1 to July 15th. To be very honest, when we set these dates, it was because CAPE was supposed to end by the end of May. And clearly things have changed radically. So we know that when you apply, you may not have your CAPE 2 results. You obviously will not have your CAPE 2 results. You might be still in exams. So my suggestion is you start the application process as soon as it opens, so you're not busy actually in exams at the time. And we will make note that we will not have those results at this point. Our scholarships are renewable. So if you get a scholarship in first year, as long as you maintain at least a 3.0 GPA, it will be renewed. We require all of our scholars to do 60 volunteer hours per year, which is a small amount of hours. And all our scholars become a member of our GK Campus Connect program. Now, what we do not fund, notice it's in red. We do not fund medicine, nursing, dentistry, law, and I'm going to explain that a little bit more. But if you notice, the Carlton Alexander Scholarship will accept applications for those. So, but if you apply for it under the GraceKennedy Jamaica Scholarship, we're not considering anybody who does medicine or law. And it has to be the government-sponsored program only, which I'll explain in a little bit. We do not fund non-sponsored programs at UWI. And again, that refers to medicine and dentistry, which I think are $28,000 each. We will not sponsor that at all. We will consider sponsoring engineering and law and medicine if it's on the sponsored program, if you can show proof that you can provide the balance that is required. Because as you noticed, I mentioned our scholarships come up to about $500,000. And if you're doing engineering at UWI, you need 1.3 million just for tuition. So you need to show us proof of how you're going to find the balance. And we do not fund overseas studies. Okay, so we only fund scholarships locally. There are a lot of other scholarships available locally. If you're planning to go to UWI or UTech, there's a UWI Open Scholarship, which is paid in US dollars. I pray to the Lord that they continue to offer it because UWI is struggling financially right now. The government of Jamaica offers a number of scholarships. Jamaica Flour Mills, Carreras, NCB, JMMBJ, and this is just a few of them. I know UTech has an application form where you can see all the scholarships that are offered. So, you need to just do your research and apply for as many as you can. As I mentioned, we have what we call our GK Campus Connect program, and that is really we've designed it so that we can help you to become a really close member of the GK family. We want to pull you into the company for you to learn all about it. We're now getting internships for students while they're at university. We're trying to build that relationship. We have two programs. We have a program called ACE with Grace, which we started because of COVID, where our students use their volunteer hours to tutor students who may be in need. And to be very honest with you, if any of you do need help with tutoring, you can get in touch with us and we can add you to the list because it really is extremely helpful to get the one-on-one support from somebody your own. But we have students that can actually go through topics with you and prepare you properly. So that's something that if you have a need or an interest there, you can let us know. And then we have our GK Campus Connect program. And one of the things we've found is that many university students, when they are trying to find their tuition, and as I mentioned, if you're doing engineering, you need $1.3 million in tuition. What happens is many students don't end up eating. Eating becomes the bottom of the list. And we know that there's an issue of hunger on our university campuses. We have students that take cough medicine for the sugar to keep them up for the day. So I know students who will put an ice mint in hot water, and that's their mint tea for the day. So it's a very serious issue. And so we started a food bank for students at UWI, UTech, and EDNO, Manley College, and our students volunteer there and help to support that initiative. So I'm going to just play a video for you that gives you an idea of how are you supposed to prepare for your scholarship applications.
Ready to apply for college scholarships? That's great, but maybe you're feeling overwhelmed by the process. Not to worry. Let's break it down into 4 simple steps. Step 1. Get organized. Set up a system to track your progress, a spreadsheet, notebook, or calendar. Then build backwards, starting with the final due date and including deadlines for recommendation letters, essay drafts, and the date by which you need to request school transcripts. If you organize everything now, you won't have to cram the day before the application is due. Step 2. If you know you need letters of recommendation, start asking people who know you and who can speak to your work to write them for you. Remember, you want to seek out teachers, counselors, and former employers. Friends and family members can't write your letters. Step 3. Get working on your essay. Careful, you can't submit the same essay for every application. But this doesn't mean you have to write each one from scratch. Tailor your essays to suit each organization offering scholarships. Ask a friend or teacher to read over your drafts. Step 4. Careless mistakes. Look.
Okay, great. All right. So the point of that is you really do need to prepare really well. Do not wait till the last minute. A couple of things that were mentioned there is that, you really do need to make sure that you're not just creating some sort of generic essay. And by the way, we know the generic essays when we get them, because our scholarships require you to do an essay. And we see the same quote from Martin Luther King 50 times in the essays that are written. We see the grammatical errors or you definitely need to really put in the time to create a great essay that we can see who you are and we can see the passion you have for the particular subject that you're planning to study. So that's very, very important. Make sure there's no reason for you to submit an essay that is not being double checked 3 times to make sure that you have no errors. Very important. Because remember, you're uploading it, so it's in Word. It's not a handwritten essay, so you can do it. The other thing is where it talks about getting your recommendations early. I'm the teachers here now. They do not have the time, and and your guidance counselors are writing recommendations. What would be useful is if you create some sort of sheet that with a summary of all of your achievements, what sports you've played, what leadership roles you've had, acts of service, things you've done with your church, all of those things you lay out and give that to who you are asking to do the recommendation for you, so they can pull from that. Secondly, you need to get the recommend a lot of you very well, but you really want somebody who is in the classroom teaching you, who's going to talk about how amazing you are. If you do not have good relationships with in 5th form, so my son was a bit of a joker and I was a little worried. It's as if January 5th form, it kind of kicked in that he needed to get his act together. But he had no leadership because he was not a saint. And we went for a consultation with AIM. And one of the things that they said to us is he needs to build his resume now. So he totally changed his perspective. He got serious about getting a leadership role. I think he ended up being president. He thought through and went after aggressively changing the resume that he had. And that's what you need to be conscious about. How can you be, get some sort of leadership role in a club, on a team, whatever area, but think about that and be very strategic as you build your resume. And and of course, as I said, be strategic in who you ask to do your recommendation letters. So that's now. Let's talk about, so you need to research all your scholarships early. You cannot wait till the last minute because they all have different requirements. And you cannot, when they're writing to me for their scholarship, the GraceKennedy Foundation, I'm applying for a foundation. No, you're applying for a scholarship with the GraceKennedy Foundation. So you can't just send one generic letter, okay? So be very careful with that. Sure that your birth certificate, that you have it in order, you have all of those documents, as well as you have certified copies of your CSEC and CAPE grades because you have to upload those. And as I said, beware of all deadlines. Students are this. I mean, and let me tell you, our thing shuts down at midnight on the 15th. I've repeated myself enough times on that point. All right, so what program should you choose? Now, this is very challenging. You know, when you look, what the kind of research you need to do is look at what the tuition and fees are that are going to be required for you to do a particular program. So look at what the cost of the program is. How long does it take to do that degree? GUE, besides medicine, it's all 3-year courses, whereas UTech, it's 4 years. But in UTech, you could actually go in after 5th form, or you could go in after Cape 1. You know what I mean? So look and figure out, can I afford a 4-year program, or should I be going after a 3-year program? Is my program accredited? You know, if I want to do law, should I be doing law at UTech? Is it an accredited program at UMO? Big difference in money. Very big difference in money, but which program will actually give me the kind of training that I need? Is my program subsidized? Can I afford it? Those are the questions you have to ask, because the worst thing you can do is to start a program and then drop out. I have a student who started dentistry at UE, which is $28,000, I think, for the year, US. She started, then she realized, this is not what I want to do. This is not my passion. She's now doing marketing at UTech, but she's still paying back a student loan for the first year that she did. If she had a very careful about what you commit to, I hate saying defer your dreams, but just be very strategic and careful about, you know, can I really afford med at this point? Maybe I should do an undergrad degree in the sciences and then apply for med when I'm a little more settled. Think about those things. The truth is college tuition is getting higher and higher. As I mentioned, engineering and law is $10,000 US. Engineering at UTech is about $500,000. Medicine, I want you to make note of this for those of you who are dreaming of becoming a doctor. They have 2 options at UE. The sponsored program, you need to know that you're on it for the 5 years. They do not allow you to transfer over to the sponsored program. So you need to make sure you have $4 million put down per year for the 5 years. 5 4s is 20 million. You need to make sure you have that, or you need to not accept that offer, because you will give you the offer. You need to not accept the offer unless you know you can find. And I can tell you, there are very few scholarships for medicine out there. So be very careful about path you go on along as you decide what you're going to study. The other thing you need to note is that UE's tuition is subsidized quite significantly. Most of their other programs, that besides what I've mentioned here, are around $300,000, but this may change. They're actually looking at that now. So you need to, again, think that through. What programs can I afford? And this applies to you if you're even thinking of studying abroad, right? So this is cute. This is, you know, it says this is working fine, but we really should have a backup plan, right? So what is your backup plan? Apply for a student loan. I feel like if I open this up now in the chat and I asked how many of you want to apply for a student loan, I'd probably get 20% of you raising your hand. But the truth, who is not having a student loan? My children went to school in the States, and my daughter's there now, and they have a student loan that they will need to repay. So that is your backup plan. Do not be afraid of it. You can always write and say, I do not need a loan, but at least you have it, because especially even what has happened with COVID, with parents losing their jobs, you need to get that student loan in place. Apply to more than one university. Don't just say, oh, I'm only going to do engineering at UE, and then you realize I don't have the money, and then you didn't apply for the UTech program. Apply to more than one program. Apply for as many scholarships as possible. Go for it. It is worth it to you to do it. You never know what you'll get through with. Apply locally, even if you want to study overseas. Do not put all your eggs in one basket. So you notice what I said, apply locally, even if you want to study overseas. It's very, very, very important, because what I've seen over time is that universities overseas offer like small small scholarship and you get all excited, but then you need to have the rest of the money, and that becomes challenging. All right, how do you finance your education? There are multiple ways. First is through private resources. If by some chance your parents may have taken out an Omni account thing or Heritage account, so they've actually been saving for your university education, that's one route. Or they may have the money to pay for you to go to university, which would be great. Most students are not in that position. Obviously, I notice again, Students' Loan Bureau. There are grants through the financial aid offices at the universities. You need to build a relationship with the people who run the financial aid offices if you know that it's going to be challenging for you to finance your education. There's scholarships and bursaries. And then, of course, there's the Earn and Study program. But as you know, and that's work and travel and stuff, that COVID kind of shot that one down. So you definitely need to think through other options. All right, so when you are applying for a scholarship, what are we looking for? We're looking for a clean, organized application. We want all documents submitted on time. We are looking for a rounded individual who is possessing leadership qualities, and that is very important. You are applying, when you apply for any scholarship, you're competing with hundreds of other students. What is going to make you stand out? And you know what? And I will be honest with you, the students that apply for our scholarships, you don't even get close to even being shortlisted if you don't have ones and twos. The first thing we cut, first thing we look at when we get the application, we don't look at your name, nothing. We look at what are your CSEC and CAPE grades first. And we sift through those. And then we start looking at the leadership, and we start looking at your co-curricular activities. And that is what ultimately helps us to make a decision. So remember when I told you about my son needing to get his act together in fifth form? Some of you may need to get your act together now. And boys, it's even harder for boys, right? Because you have to look cool. So you don't want to have, I don't want to be in a leadership nerd, something. You need to kind of get your act together and start thinking, okay, what do I need to do to be able to be competitive in a scholarship situation? Because I want to go to university and I want a different life. The other thing you want is appropriate email and phone etiquette. So, and I forget getting an application from a student and her email address was liadgal@yahoo.com. Well, liadgal was not even considered for a scholarship, right? Because that is completely inappropriate. I don't make business what your private email address is, but you create an email address that is appropriate. Your first name and your last name for scholarship applications. And then also for phone etiquette, we do call students to get additional information. So you need to think through how you're answering the phone, right? You can't answer, hello, what? Yeah, you need to answer respectfully as well. And I know you get that training at Jamaica College. All right, so if you're studying in Jamaica, in the US, in Canada, there are certain key things that are critical, and I've touched on some of them already. Your GPA is critical. You must have a good GPA, and because, as I said, that's the first thing we're looking at. I'm not going to consider somebody who has just C's. I'm looking for the people with A's and B's. You must show an interest in what you want to study. It's not that my mother told me to go and do this degree. You must have a passion for it. We look at your essay and what comes out of that. We look at your extracurriculars. We look at your recommendation letter. And if you're applying abroad and you have to do SATs and stuff like that, they're going to look at your test scores as well. If you are studying in the US, the top 5 scholarship search engines are listed here. I'm sure they'll share this presentation with you, and it will be on YouTube anyway. So College Board, CollegeNet, FastWeb, scholarships.com. You can, use those sites to be able to figure out, which universities can I apply to. I mean, there are actually universities that give free tuition. Did you know that? I have a niece who actually went to a university called Berea College, and she paid nothing. It's completely free. So you need to, look for those opportunities. And again, here, create a separate professional email address because they spam you as well. So just be very, you have something separate there for them to send you all their info. Factors to consider if you're studying in the US. When you are applying, if you're going to apply abroad, you're going to apply to multiple universities, but there's a cost for each one. It's like 70 US, 80 US, 100 US for each one that you apply to. That can add up to a lot of money. So, but if you're in a situation where you may not have, where the guidance counselor knows about your financial situation, you can actually get a fee waiver. So investigate that. But just as I said to you, just applying to the universities can cost a lot of money. They're going to ask you if you can show evidence of financial support. It does not make sense to apply to University of Southern California, that's 70,000 US a year, and your parent earns 300,000 or 1 million Jamaican a year. You know what I mean? You have to show proof. So you think about that. Are you able to show proof? Another question you need to ask yourself is, can I do a similar degree in Jamaica? To me, it does not make sense to study medicine in the States or law. Study right here in Jamaica. You can do your postgrad study abroad. Actuarial science, if you're thinking of doing that, study it here in Jamaica. Actually, most universities in the States don't even offer that as a first degree. But, think through, if I'm doing a business degree, marketing, do I need to study that in the States? I understand the opportunity. I understand why you would do it because of the exposure that you get, but just think through financially. Does it make sense? And hopefully once COVID has settled down, UE offers a lot of study abroad opportunities. You can do a year in Canada or a term in Canada or whatever. So think through that. When them schools tell you that the tuition is 70,000, you better plan for additional $5,000 or whatever extra, because you need to get food. You have living expenses. If you go to a cold climate, you're going to need winter clothes. You know what I mean? There's a lot of extra costs that they don't really tell you about until you're there. So that's something you have to be careful about. And then what subjects are they looking for? One of the things I learned through AIM is that they actually like to see a social studies subject, what they call social studies. So history, geo, sociology, they want to see that on your resume. They ideally want to see maths. Now, my son refused to do maths at CAPE level. And it kind of came back to burn him when he was at university because he did business. And the math course required you to have kind of close to a CAPE level math. So think about that. And remember, if you're thinking of doing engineering or anything, even any chemistry, you're going to need to do add math to do CAPE math. So be strategic about that. Excuse me. They like to see a science subject. So think about maybe doing one science subject. And then they like to see fine arts or an applied skill subject like accounts or econ. My personal suggestion is that everybody should do IT. And my little suggestion, which is not compulsory, is I really think accounts is a really good subject to do because you need it in everything in your life. But that's my little thing on the side. My kids didn't do accounts, but just saying. All right, so key things to remember. For those of you who are not in 5th and 6th form yet, you need to pick your subjects wisely. It is better for you to get 8 1s than 10 2s and 3s, okay? Don't overdo it. It breaks my heart when I see a student doing 10, 12 subjects and then get terrible grades. If they'd just done the 8 subjects, they would have gotten their 1s. We also like to see you doing at least 8 subjects in one sitting. So I know you may do some subjects in 3rd and 4th form, some CSEC subjects. You still want to have a good 7 or 8 subjects that you take in 5th form, okay? And pick wisely. So I knew that my daughter was not going to be strong in the sciences. So I didn't make her do any science subjects. And she was never going to do anything really with the sciences. I was very strategic in those subjects that she picked. And so really think through what your strengths are. What are you good at? You may want to be a doctor, but you may not be that great at the sciences. So maybe you should be doing the business subjects. I don't know if, well, I'm not going to say this, but also look at the subjects that are getting the 1s. Be careful, handpick those subjects too. I was specifically encouraged my daughter to do digital media because you can get a 1 in digital media pretty easily at the CAPE level, and she was applying abroad. You know what I mean? So think through and look at the subjects that will give you that lovely 8-1s at the end of the day. Remember, all of you, that it is your responsibility to search for and apply for scholarships. It's not your parents, it's not your counselors, it's not other adults, it's your responsibility. Start looking early. And the students that get more money, put more work into it. They're the ones that are doing the research. I know there's a student that I knew at Campion who he literally had nothing to his name. His mother works as a cleaner in a ministry, and his dad is a retired postal worker. He's on a full scholarship to one of the top liberal arts colleges in the States, and they ended up, and he just built a relationship with them. He was in touch with them, he worked on it, he built a relationship with them over a year. And when they gave him his scholarship, I think it was short, maybe $1,500. I said, go back and ask them for the $1,500. And they gave him the $1,500. And when winter, they take him out to go shopping for the winter clothes. They put him up when COVID hit. So be aggressive to build relationships with the entities that you want to get money from and the universities that you want to attend. And remember, the universities want a full package. We don't want just an athlete. We don't want just somebody who is good in academics. We want somebody who is rounded to give scholarships to. And the final tip I'll say is, if you're not where you need to be now, that's okay. Make the changes now to get where you need to be. All right, so I believe that's it. And I will open it up for any questions.
Well, before the questions, Carolyn, that's excellent. As usual, very good guidance and very good tips and very good information. I'm sure our college men would have benefited from it, and our teachers and counselors who are here would also benefit from your information. We're going to open it up to the chat. Anybody who has questions, queries, raise them in the chat right now or raise your hand. So let's see that. Which institutions do your scholarships apply to, and which program? I saw that.
Yes, I mean, I can again say we do UE, UTech, Edna Manley College, and we just do a final year scholarship at CMU. So that's the only things we offer. So it's UE, UTech, and Edna Manley College. And for most programs, as I mentioned, we do not do the full fee med, and we do not do law generally. But for the Carlton Alexander Scholarship, which is for JC only, we do show an exception for the programs that you apply for.
And you heard that, UE, UTech, there's something for CMU, but I want to highlight the Carlton Alexander Scholarship, which is a Jamaica College scholarship. Mm-hmm. It's through GraceKennedy. Carlton Alexander is an eminent old boy. His son is on the call right now, who's a member of the board. Teddy Alexander is Carlton's son, and Sir Carlton is one of our, again, eminent old boys. And that scholarship is honoring his name, and yes, only available to Jamaica College old boys who have left JC and are at university for a year or so, and eligible to both UWI and UTech. So again, gentlemen, apply. Right, I see that. Do you offer scholarships for persons wanting to do meteorology?
Well, I'm not sure of a meteorology program that's offered at UE or UTech. You may end up doing a science program. I'm not sure, like maybe marine biology or
UWI has something that Cave Hill does at the Cave Hill campus. So that could be checked out.
Yeah, I mean, we generally fund for Jamaica, but because UE is a regional university, we would consider that. If you wanted to, if you apply for the Carlton Alexander Scholarship and you were planning to go to another campus, we would consider that.
Okay, good. Here's another question from Teddy too. It says, do you give special consideration for applicants who would be the first member of their immediate family to attend university?
No, we do not, unfortunately, because our scholarships are merit-based. However, as I mentioned, we did about 90 scholarships last year. I would probably bet that 85 of them, they were the first in their family to go to university. So as I say, it's merit, but the truth is, there are a lot of our students, they are the first in their family.
And it would be wise when you're writing your essay to indicate something like that to because they will read your essay. Once you satisfy the merit qualifications, your essay should mention something about the passion and your background.
Yes.
Is there a scholarship offered for psychology?
That would be either through the GraceKennedy Jamaica Scholarship when you're just leaving JC. Obviously, the Carlton Alexander Scholarship, that would work. And there is the Rafael Diaz Scholarship in business. And because it's in the social psychology falls in the social science faculty, we could consider it there.
Good. I want to also underscore the comments you made about subject choices, making sure that you're rounded. And the comment you made about math is a very important comment. Math is probably the most important subject to have as an asset outside of English. And if you have a good math background, you tend to, and excellent grades in math all the way up to Cape, you tend to be one of the first choices. Math is it's probably the single most important subject to get a very good grade and background in.
I fully agree. In fact, there was a college that my son applied to. It was one of the top entrepreneurial colleges in the States. And he didn't get in because he didn't have math at Cape. So for business, right? So people think math, you're only using math for the sciences, but for business, you need it. So that's important.
And again, I mentioned to the boys, start that background in math and strengthen it all the way up from third form, because the math that you need, for example, to do well at SAT, if you're planning to go abroad, that math is higher than the level of CSEC and requires calculus, for example. And calculus you'll only learn in ad math. So the strengthening of your math background is critical for scholarship applications and for getting good grades to satisfy the matriculation competition that you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
Which specific subjects you must choose in order to pursue law?
That's a good question. I would assume law, because you can do law at the Cape level. We had Ronaldo Allen, who is studying law, that came through JC, and Malik Brown is currently one of our scholars, and he's studying law as well. I mean, I don't think law requires you even to do law, but it's a useful subject to have if that's what you're pursuing. But sociology, history, MOB, any of those business subjects can help you qualify.
You really need good grades. They want to see good grades, right? Yeah. You really need good grades, right? Because I can tell you, for example, that
literature.
My daughter did law. One of them did law, and they did that. She learned accounts for the first time in law school. It would have done her well if she had done accounts at CXE.
Oh yeah.
So you need ones. That's what you really need.
You really need ones.
Do I make the application in the first year I'm applying for university?
Yes, you apply once. In fact, we require you to show proof of acceptance to university. Right. So you don't apply unless you've been accepted. That's locally. If you've been accepted to UE or UTech or EDNO, then you are ready to apply. For the States, obviously, you're applying before. You're applying to hopefully get in. Yeah.
And if you remember the
law
if you're going to do law, you have to do a first degree in probably liberal arts first before you can do law. So those are kind of specialist degrees that you can.
There's one, if you want to do math in Cape, you need to. Oh, he's answering, Mr. Wong.
Right, Mr. Wong answering, right.
Yeah, so that's a requirement now, right? You require students to do ad math if they want to do math at Cape level. And you remember, if you're doing engineering and those subjects, you definitely want to do linking through ad math if you want to do it later on.
And the point you made about having good math background for business is very important, because people think that if they're doing business, they don't need that math background.
Yep.
And so, yes, make sure you have that math background for business, and make sure you have a good IT background as well for business. You must be able to manipulate things like spreadsheets easily if you're going to go into business.
We're going to go to GraceKennedy.com, to our website, and then just put in the search for scholarships, and everything is there. But on the presentation that's saved on YouTube, the information is there.
Good. Thanks much again. Any more questions, gentlemen? This has been extremely useful. We will keep the information on the YouTube channel. I don't know if Teddy wants to say something before we close off.
Yes, thanks, Wayne. And Caroline, just want to say thanks for excellent presentation. I'm sure those who are on benefited tremendously. And, I'm sure anybody has any follow-up. I think you put an email address in the presentation, so they should be able to contact you by email if they have any questions that come up after this. And Wayne, I think we should also just remind everyone that is it next week, Tuesday, we're having another session in which we will have two past students who attended university, Ricardo Allen, who is
a Carlton Alexander Scholar.
All right, okay, great. And Akeem McKenzie, who was on the robotics team, and he's currently at the University of North Florida. So they will be presenting and speaking about their experiences. Ricardo, obviously, with respect to the local perspective. Akeem having it's still completing his final year at university. So I think it would be very useful in terms of providing additional information about how to select a school and particularly what to expect when you actually matriculate and are at university.
Thank you, Teddy.
There was a question that popped up. Sorry,
right.
There was a question about
the question asked, what advice do you have for a person who can't decide on a major? It's a very good question.
My advice is a very good question. So my advice is then do a science. I should have stressed this, and I'm so sorry. It's so important to think about doing a language, doing Spanish or French. That's really important in this day and age. So do a science, do a business subject, do maybe a language, mix it up so that you have a combination that if necessary, you can pull from that after.
If you're going to the States, that first degree you do is always a kind of liberal arts degree, which has a mixture of a lot of things, including things like philosophy, so that you get a foundation, and your second degree then can be more specialist.
Correct.
So you can do like one science. Yes, you can. You are supposed to do one science. Yes. And so I want to emphasize, underscore what Teddy said. Next week, Tuesday, we meet again with two college men who will come and share their experiences at university with us. We're inviting all again from third form all the way up to sixth form, because you start to plan why I'm so happy we have the third formers, and I'm going to emphasize that they come on. You start to plan your pathway from now by doing the things that you have to do from now and organizing your life from now, so that you're not running around at the last minute in fifth and sixth form trying to fix yourself when you could have had your pathway straightened earlier. So I'm appreciating that, and we're going to be inviting our third formers to come in as well. Awesome. Again, Caroline, I want to thank you. I appreciate it. Again, you've done a wonderful and marvelous job. The information was very important, relevant, useful, and again, we're going to keep it up so the boys can make use of it later on. Gentlemen, I'm going to ask one of you who's on now. I think William Hume is on. William, are you there?
Yes, Mr. Robinson, I am here.
Well, William, I usually just call on you in the middle of the night. Could you give a vote of thank you to Caroline Mahfood, please?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, to the parents, teachers, college men, to Mrs. Mahfood. I'd like to thank you for taking the time out of your schedule this evening to speak to us about scholarships and the process of applying and all of that. It was really, really informative. A lot of things I did not know, especially seeing that I'm going into UTech in August to do computer science, and I'll definitely be checking out the scholarships available. So thank you very much for taking the time out to speak to us this evening. On behalf of me and all the college men present, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, William. I look forward to receiving your application.
All right.
All right.
So thanks again, everyone. I want to just close by saying be safe. We're operating in very difficult times. Please remain safe. Please follow the protocols. Please be clear. Hopefully we'll get to see everybody, certainly hopefully after Easter, but we wait and see what the environment is. Please keep safe. Please keep your families safe. Please keep yourself safe. Thanks, everyone. Let's have a safe evening. Thank you again, Carly. We will be in touch.
Yes, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.